I think it's really important that people understand how the flow of money into
Hmm.
campaigns works and how
Hmm.
campaign finance works and how we track all this stuff as reporters. There won't be another campaign finance statement due until July. So we're not going to have a really clear look at where that money is
Hmm.
going right now. But in the past, we've seen donations to individual candidates, but we've seen a larger flow of money go to these what they're basically called dark money
The
nonprofits,
501(c)(4)s. You're
right?
absolutely right in
They're
that.
social welfare organizations that basically can raise an unlimited amount of money to give. So
And you don't know where they go.
that's the preferred way by which money flows into candidates, and Duggan has used that strategically to quite great
Hmm.
effect in the past. Um, what more can you tell me about how we can get a better sense of where that money is going and the influence of these kind of untraceable nonprofits in the city that I think have like had a pretty major influence on how politics work here?
I don't necessarily think that's true. Nonprofits, not necessarily.
I mean, the social welfare organizations
Oh, I
themselves.
got
Yeah.
you. Yeah, I think that people need to just pay attention and connect the dots. Do some research. I know a reporter commented on Twitter that they weren't aware that Dan Gilbert moved here back in,
Like oh
under
seven or
under
something.
Kilpatrick.
Yeah.
And so I think that historical context on a lot of things, people, places, organizations, contributions, and even the candidates, I think that needs to really, really be looked at. And I think that people should not allow this mayor's race to turn into a popularity contest.
Mm,
I know all of them. I like most of them, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I think they are all qualified to be mayor, and
mhm.
that's not a personal thing. We have to look at this, who is going to be the best person? We're at a fork in the road in this city, and I think who is going to be the best person to take everybody to the next step.
When you talk about the popularity contest, name recognition is so important
Mhm.
in these elections. I had somebody who worked for one of the campaigns tell me that really it just comes down to who folks recognize when they go to cast their ballot
Mhm.
on election day. We've had some early polling that has shown the names that are more well known or have a larger base of
Mhm.
support, right? Sheffield, Kinloch are up ahead. Craig kind of trailing there, and then Jenkins is in kind of four. That's like the top four according to the polling that we have now.
Right.
Polling obviously is a snapshot in time. I think it's somewhat illuminating, but you don't want to hang your hat on it. How do you look at polls at this point in the race? What are they suggesting to you?
Nothing. I think they're early. I think it's early, but I also know that there's so many variables that impact the outcome of a poll. Who's asking? How are the questions framed? What method are you using? Is it pre-recorded? Are you talking to them in person? Are you calling them on the phone? And then, as we saw in the last presidential election, nothing matters but the vote. So it's going to be the person who was actually able to get out the vote that's going to make a difference too.
Yeah. And I think, the endorsement game is kind of a similar track there.
I don't
We've seen Sheffield roll out some pretty big name endorsements. The Attorney General of Minnesota was the latest
They're
one.
not here, and
Right.
that's the thing, and so endorsements, I think, they can generate publicity, they can generate attention, and again, awareness does make a difference for some people, but I think, again, we have to sort through everything and look, who is the candidate? What have they done? What are they now promising to do that they could have done before? What skill set are they bringing? I remember once I wanted to look at council members to see what were they doing before they were an elected person, elected official, and what could you be doing or would you be doing if you weren't in this seat?
Mhm.
So, I mean, that tells me a lot. What kind of person are they? I believe you can't be a good professional if you're a bad person. So, we all have circulated in the same space for many years, and it's just sit down and see what are we really working with.
The pollster who conducted the latest poll was
Mhm.
telling me that normally by the start of May, it's pretty clear who the next mayor is going to be. And
Yeah,
at this point,
but that's what they said when they thought Freeman Hendricks was gonna win too
mhm,
against Go. So you just really don't ever know, and I think part of, polls and the conversation around those polls are, again, to make people feel like, "Oh, well, you should go ahead and go this way, or you should give up, or you should do." And I don't. I'm gonna continue to watch this through the end, and I will literally make my decision, if not closer to election day, it may even be that day because
yeah,
I'm taking everything in.
that's kind of where I was going. Do you feel like this race is pretty wide open still?
I think so. I really think so, and, I always think about the race with Dave Kanisak, he lost it. I don't even know the lady's name, but she didn't spend any money. She had no name recognition or nothing. He was the incumbent. but he lost.
Mhm.
So, I don't think anybody should be so comfortable, so snug, or so presumptuous that they will make it to the general election. I think everybody should run this race like they want to win it. And I think that residents ought to really pick apart what they're saying, what they're doing, and then make the best decision that they can make.